attempt to understand the basic Bani that Guruji has left us, Japji, which has been termed the mother of Sikhi by none other than Professor Darshan Singh. That just like the mother teaches her children the baby steps and then guides the child throughout their lives, such is the wisdom of Japji. That Japji is the mother of Sikhi. If we understand the meaning, the message, the steps of Japji that are given there, the 38 bodies, then we will be able to fill our purpose in life, which is to merge back with the light. So, last couple of times we attempted to understand the Mool Mantra and then Socha Sochna Ho Gayi, and now we are at Hukmi Bhuvanakar. So what is Hukam? It is perhaps the single most dense, pithy, difficult, complex concept to understand. Because Hukam has so many layers of meaning. What is Hukam? If it is all Hukam, then who am I? It gets all entangled with destiny and free will. So let's try and understand what Hukam is. Babaji has himself told us that Hukam keha nahi janta. Hukam is very difficult to understand. So the body starts with Hukmi Hovan Akar, Hukam na keha jai. Before we even attempt to understand Hukam, we know himself is saying that it is very hard to articulate what Hukam is, to put your arms around it, to understand, to grasp it. It's very difficult. And yet, he has told us, Guruji has told us, that everything is in his Hukam, starting with the Akar, every shape. There is Nirakar, that has no form, that has no shape, that has no size, that has no color. And then there is Akar, which is the rest of the universe, which has form, shape, size, color, length, breadth, width, right? So all the Akars, all the forms, everything that we see, the manifestation of the Creator is there because of his Hukam. Hukmi Hovan Akar. This world exists in the way that it exists because that supreme energy has willed it. The Hukam was Eka Kavao Kita Pasao. One sound with one will, it was created. This whole Akar was created. And then in the same sentence he says, Hukmi Hovan Akar, Hukam na keha jai. Now understand this, that I am a minuscule speck of that universe that was created by the Nirakar, by the command. I am a teeny tiny speck. So how can I understand? How can I articulate? How can I even fathom what that Hukam is? I can't. I can't understand it. And yet, without understanding it, I'm lost. Without knowing what the Hukam is, I will be constantly and continually trapped in the cycle of pain and suffering and life and death and this roller coaster of emotions and tragedy and joy and every, this smorgasbord that we call life. So I have to understand, I have to attempt to understand. Hukmi Hovan Akar, Hukam na keha jai, Hukmi Hovan chi, Hukam mile vadiyai. All the beings have been created, all the beings in the world have been created by his Hukam. So let's pause here for a moment and think, what is Hukam? We clearly understand that Hukam means command, right? As Commander-in-Chief, the Hukam, the king's order. That is one level of the meaning, Hukam, by his command, by the king's command, by the Commander-in-Chief's command, by the laws written by the king. That's another meaning. The king doesn't have to be present everywhere for his hukam to pervade. He writes the laws and lets them be known, and in the land the laws will pervade. Or those who violate them will be accountable, right? That is the hukam as we know it in the world, in the temporal world, that there are laws. We're going at 90 miles an hour, right? We're getting late to come here and we don't want to miss it. We want to be in this Sangha together, sharing, understanding, but we're late. But the hukam is, the law of the land is that we're not going to exceed 65, and we are violating them. At any moment, we can be stopped, we can be ticketed, we can be called to be accountable. But the person who has written the law doesn't have to be there, right? So the laws are there. So the meaning of the word hukam at one level is the laws of God, the laws of the universe, the laws of the creative force. So the command, the laws. Hukam is also translated, understood as "Ae udi raza hai, ae uda hukam hai, ae udi wish hai, akal purakh di, ae udi desire hai," right? Or at the worldly level, "Ae raje di raza hai, ae commander-in-chief di raza hai." This is what makes them happy. This is what keeps us out of trouble. So raza da matlab at one level also is that I accept it in a mode of being happy. I accept it with an attitude of joy, of acceptance, of gratitude. And raza, I cannot fight it, I have to accept it. So acceptance is inherent in hukam. Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
please do.
The laws are made, but one difficulty is that interpretation of the law. People interpret the same law in a different way. We give you an example. There are people who are vegetarian, people who are non-vegetarian in this world. Some believe, it's a food chain. That's the way the Lord meant, that's why all these things are there. Others say no, it's no. So I'm just curious to know, how do you interpret this law if the law is there?
So obviously what you're saying is that these laws are interpreted by humans, and because we have different perspectives, we interpret them through our perspective, through our own biases, right? And that's how it is. That's just how it is. Only the hukmi, the person, the energy, the entity that created the law will be able to say, no, this is what I meant. In Sri Guru Granth Sahib, as I understand it, the laws are defined, but the everyday living of it is left to you. The laws are principles. The laws are you don't hurt anyone. The laws are you be conscientious. The laws are hard work. The laws are, lots of them, we'll go into that. So the entire Sri Guru Granth Sahib is filled with what Guru's hukam is, what Vaheguru's hukam is. Each line, when you look at it, that is the Guru's hukam. But how we interpret it and how we live it. Now going back to the traffic example, we violate it every day. And yet we want to get away with it. When the officer stops us, we come up with 10 excuses. I haven't been ticketed in 10 years, I'm a really safe driver, I didn't know, I was ignorant, all of these are excuses. Oh, it was 65, oops, I thought this was a 70-mile thing. So all of those things, not only do I interpret it myself, I make excuses, I make all kinds of rationalizations. There was no one on the road, I was going with the traffic. So not only do we interpret it differently, we make excuses, we rationalize, but the law is the law. Now, is there such a law in Sri Guru Granth Sahib that you should not eat meat? Or you should? I think the law is that which doesn't agree with your higher senses, that which creates or incites lower passions, that food is bad. The judgment of that is left to you, because you have been created as a very sensible being, and you will understand what it is at different stages of your life, what suits you. Vichaar, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that as we're talking about it, I'm thinking there are two different levels of hukam or laws. One is that which operates in the universe, laws of physics, chemistry, what happens, the laws of nature, things that we don't have any control about.
Yeah.
Then there's another sense we're using it, which is what is good and what is bad, which is for which we are accountable as individuals. And there are kind of two very different meanings to this. Right? Here we've been talking about that part.
Yes,
Also
I was going to come to that.
That's always
I was going to come to that, which is holding our universe together. The gravity, you know, the earth moving on its axis.
It's for.
Yeah.
It's not something we created.
It's not something we created, right.
It's a natural law. But whether it's good to eat or not, that's more a ethical law.
Right.
Things that for which the soul gets results.
So the law or the command operates at different levels. Absolutely right. I was going to come to that. But we started with the G, with the beings, and you know how it affects us. And then there are the planetary laws. There are the laws that bind the galaxies together. There are the laws of mechanics. There's the law of how light travels and how thought travels, and you know, all of those things that are beyond our understanding. You know, we see them and we're not even fully cognizant of them. And we can't, because we're just a little speck in that huge realm which is infinite. And yes, it is good to know the law, but you know, we don't even know fully what it is. And that's where the Guru comes in. That's where Sri Guru Granth Sahib comes in. That's where the Guru's wisdom comes in. That the Guru will tell us, this is why Guru's hukam. The Guru tells us, Jo main kiya so main paya. This is an atal law. This law cannot be violated. If I am going to sow the seed of a rose, then I will get a rose, because that seed has everything that it needs. It contains everything to turn into a rose. All that I have to do is I have to nurture it, put it in soil, water it, right? That is my hard work. That is my uddam. But all of that is contained in the rose. But I cannot plant a pansy or a jasmine and expect it to be a rose. I cannot plant a cactus and expect it to be a rose. That's where my deeds come in. That's where somebody once compared it to a bow and arrow and said that your will is whether you are going to let that arrow go or not. But once you have shot the arrow, it's beyond your control. And then the law of karma, that's another law. The law of karma is, it's actually the same. What you sow is what you shall reap, right? Jo main kiya so main paya. So once I have let the arrow out of the bow, I have pulled my hand and let it go, then the law is that whatever the consequences, what are the effect of that, what are the intended and unintended consequences of where that arrow will go, who it will hit, who it shall kill or wound or not, I shall bear.
So can we say that last line of the previous poem where it says, "Hukam Vidai Chalna." So there's two levels to that also. One is living in tune with God's natural laws, accepting it, and accepting His raza and being in tune with it. And the second one is listening to the hukam from the Guru. God has revealed His message also through His saints and His Gurus, and so following that is part of hukam raza also, because that's why
So,
it's hukam, right?
isn't it the same though? Isn't it the same?
One is just, acceptance of the universe and
Yes.
being in tune with it.
The other is also
The
acceptance.
other is acceptance of specific look. For the other one, you have to look for the Guru's words and listen.
And then
to them.
listen.
And then you have to interpret them to understand.
Yes, absolutely right.
So
So, but the acceptance is there in both.
Yeah.
The acceptance is there in both.
But it's a very different sort of
It's
acceptance. One is being in tune and accepting. The other is like listening to a teacher and understanding.
The other is also being in tune and accepting it.
Of course, but
Right?
it's different.
It's different. It requires uddam. Like it doesn't require any uddam on my part to make the sun rise. I think that's what you're saying, right?
No, I'm saying there's a different aspect to it. One is Radhamani means not having some talk,
Right.
contented.
Right.
which is an attitude.
Yes.
And the other is specifically listening to the Guru and understanding what he's saying and trying to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely right. Yes, there is a difference. But what I'm saying is that underneath it all is the sense that if you are tuned, right? If you are tuned to the Guru, the Uddam also will come. Somehow at a deeper level, it is all about acceptance, right? Right? And whether...
That's true also.
So yes, we have to listen to the Guru and we have to follow the hukam and then we have to accept what is happening, right? But it's all about acceptance. It's all about surrender because acceptance is nothing but surrender. Surrender to what the Guru is asking you to do, surrender to the laws and abiding by them. But you know, that too, okay, so at one level, once we have started on that path and that course of action, the energy that propels us, the positive energy that is taking in that direction is going to chart our destiny. It's going to propel us. Because you know why? There is a very interesting quote in Guru Granth Sahib, which is that what is hukam? Oda naam hi oda hukam hai, right? What is naam? Naam oda essence hai. Naam ode gun ne. We talked about that in the Mool Mantra. What is Mool Mantra? It describes his gun. It describes his Vaheguruji's essence. So agar hukam oda naam hai, or naam ode gun han, right? That all that I need to do is dwell on the naam, inculcate the gun, and I'm automatically on the path of acceptance of hukam. That's how I see it. It's sort of a logical progression that I don't have to think about it too much. And that's how being in satsanga, engaged in chanting, engaged in contemplation, self-reflection, and staying in that vibration will bring about a transformation. Because automatically, I will be rubbed off by the gun of a Kalpura, because I'm dwelling upon them. Automatically, that nirvarta will come, that Babaji wants me to have, right? Agar Oda Gun is that entity, that energy, is looking after me even when I'm ungrateful and even when I'm nasty and even when I'm mean, that energy doesn't withdraw its love. But I am so quick to withdraw my love when I see somebody not behaving nicely towards me. But when I get into that, when I contemplate the Guru and the vibration of that all-encompassing love, it's all energy, it's all vibration. I become a part of that, and then I lose that judgment. And then suddenly what happens, we're going into a very deeper meaning of it, and this is how transformation happens. And then when I become that, and I have no judgment, you know what? All that is coming at me will lose its force. It will not be able to attack. It just won't have that power, because I will not be resisting it with my force. I will not be combating it. I will be at ease. And it will all just go over. That's the experience of the hukam, of the naam, of the essence of imbibing the good. Right, Fiji?
Yeah, but somehow in that, you also have the ability and you need to resist things that need to be resisted also, right?
Of course,
like
but that... Right.
So that's also, you're still accepting
but
hukam, but within the hukam you have to do that.
But the hukam there is, Viji, but the hukam there is also that you will have the strength to stand up. That is also part of the hukam.
So it's not acceptance of everything, it's acceptance that
of goodness.
It's
acceptance of goodness. It's acceptance of goodness. It's acceptance of gun. Nirakar de apne vich ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ inculcate ਕਰਨਾ.
It's also acceptance of a greater power around you.
It
so
is.
While doing your worst things and or doing your best, it's everything is still part of life. So you're not frustrated whether it works or not.
That is the very first level, right? That I am not going to fight. This is the hukam. My DNA, I can't fight it. This is the result of what I have done, where I have gone, what my previous lifetimes have created, what my sanskar is. That's what I've come with. I am not going to fight that. But within that, within those parameters of the hukam, of the DNA, of my capability, of my potential, of everything, there is grace, there is nadar, there is my free will to do what I need to do given where I am. This is the hand that has been dealt to me, and this is how I'm going to do, how the choices I'm going to make to do better this time, ab ki baar baksh bande ko, to take on those guns so that the hukam, see the hukam is not going to change, the overall command is not going to change, that whatever I'm going to sow, however I'm going to be, even though Akal Purakh is all bakshin, but the law is that what I sow, I'm going to reap, right? Right, Vijay? That is the law now. But within that, I have the capacity to change myself based on the actions that I'm doing right now, and that is going to happen through grace, through nadar, through contemplation, through chanting, through satsangat, through changing, becoming, nirmal, immaculate. I mean, am I getting too philosophical or complex about it?
No,
it is.
No, but the starting point, because the complex nature of the statement is that when you look at a humanly point, it's very different. If you look at the hukam in the universe, in the physical world, everything flows, and there's nobody is trying to counter that. Anything that is God given every day, pani paro thale jayega samundar ke surface,
gravity,
okay, light aandi hai, usne garmi karni hai, so that all hukam have no issues.
Right, and that's what Vijay was saying. Those are the hukams in the world of nature.
But what I'm saying is, since that thing flows so comfortably, because it's going in the flow of God's hukam, banda jehda hai, assi कहना कि साडा hukam चले, साडा hukam चले, तो मालिक बने. वो थे प्रॉब्लम उठे आती है, और अगर मालिक का हुक्म समझ के उसी राह पे चलना है, then it would become so much easier.
And to me, acceptance is a very big part of it.
Acceptance is also His blessing.
Grace, absolutely.
So all you can do is request
and
ask
receive
and beg. दूसरा देना उसकी मर्जी.
एक को नाम हुक्म है, right?
But
सतगुर दिया बुझाए. If you listen to the Satgur's Bani and try to follow it, then he will help you understand it. And part of that understanding is flow, to flow with it. But as Vijay says, that we're not pacifists. We have to stand up, and that is also the hukam. That is also the hukam.
But you're standing against the negative thing.
Yes.
And you have to go with the right thing. So, which is fine because Baba
at the he ran mein tab jooj maro, right? Nischay kar apni jeet karo. That's also hukam.
So you have the right to stand against the bad thing.
See, very interesting that this cycle of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Guru Sahib ne kiya ki hukam de mutabiq pain and suffering aa jaye, not based on your deed, but it's all pain and suffering cycle because of his hukam and all that. But we as living species, we are so hardwired that for us to accept this cycle of pain and suffering is a constant struggle. Okay, and I think that's where I know Nam Japke you can improve that, but if you look around the world, the formula doesn't seem to be that obvious. Otherwise, everybody would like to get away from this cycle of pain and suffering, and yet we keep going through this for ages and ages as a living species. So I'm just wondering, are we hardwired, or what's going on here?
Because we're not listening to the Guru.
That is part of it. He creates all this.
He has created the Maya.
He creates Maya. He creates all this big thing between us and him. And he throws out a channel saying, I've also given you this seed in your heart that's divine. And I also keep sending gurus and sons and saints in the world. And through all this confusion, we have the opportunity to follow this and get back to me.
Through the
it's a game.
My question
if you don't understand it, it's a play, right? It's Choj Vidar. We don't understand this fascinating game. But the world would be very dull if everybody was perfect. This is what he has created.
But then if you look at
he's having fun and he's playing a game.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's the reason. Otherwise, basically, if when you're sick, there's an antibiotic which is going to cure your bacterial or viral infection. You know it. So here we know the medicine, and yet nobody wants to take it.
We don't want to take it.
Because
No, but that's the reason why. It's obvious the path is there, the light is shining, you know where the light is. But yet everybody doesn't want to go to there. They have a solution, but they don't follow why. I mean, that's my general
Those are still the lucky ones. Lots of people don't even get that.
Proportionately, after all.
But the ones who are somewhat on this path, they at least know that. But it's still there's always challenges.
Proportionately, 6.5 billion people, they could be hand-picked people who understand.
But see, what it is jithe o pilot light hai, right? Jithe Babaji ne apni jyot kari hai, ode naal na he's also given us Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. And those are fierce opponents. The Kam, my goodness, that can just make you go crazy. Krodh will totally make you blind. Every other hukam hai ki Kam, Krodh, Kaya ko gale. He has also established this. He is actually really the wrong pronoun to use for that energy, that force. But every hukam hai that if you, and that is why the misery, because look at the lust we have, look at the greed, the corruption, and that's why the suffering. That's part of the hukam, because the Guru has established that when you have Krodh, you will be blind. When you have Kam, you will suffer. Your Kaya, your whole body will disintegrate. Our entire planet is suffering because we have not respected the hukams. We have violated everything. We have violated Earth, which has been called Mother Earth. Look at what is happening in nature. The tsunamis, the glaciers are, cracking, and I mean it's part of nature. But I mean we were in Banff, and it's unbelievable how far the glacier has receded. Because why? It's not that. So the hukam is that whatever you do, you will bear the consequences, right? So it is under that hukam that all these natural disasters are happening. God's energy is forever kind and benevolent, but the hukam is just. Dharam Rai nu Guru ne hukam ditta that you will be just. So that Dharam Rai is the
Minister of Justice.
Exactly, the one who
the
Attorney General.
That's the executive branch.
Exactly. So, but the hukam to the Dharam Rai is be fair. I mean, how can a benevolent force completely ignore what is happening? Udhar benevolence koi kami nahi aayegi. But the hukam that has been created is that if you are going to violate these rules, you're going to have to bear the consequences.
I think very interesting what you said, because in Sukhmani Sahib, as you mentioned a little while ago, that we have to surrender and beg for salvation. So they kind bear growth, Kam, Krodh, Moh, Jhoot, Vichaar, Maha, Lobh, Tro, Iho Jugat behind Kahi Jana. Nanak, Rakhle, and finally says, Rakhle Kar. So basically, I know I've been going through this, but only you can take me out of this loop. I really surrender.
And karam there is kripa.
Yeah, kripa.
Apni kripa.
Another karma.
Apni nadar naal, apni kripa naal, mainu rakh.
So Guru shows the path. Yes, you will go through that. All you can do is to surrender to him and pray to him that please take me out of the loop. Recycling.
Exactly. But somewhere along this line, there is free will. There is our ability to correct the path.
If there wasn't that, there would be no accountability.
If there was,
you can't have accountability.
There will be no accountability. Then that is why it's so clear to me that you just cannot be fatalistic and say, oh, meri to destiny hai. Because Babaji ne jithe ai kya ve कि उदा नाम परवेट करता है, बाबा जी ने ऐ भी क्या कि उद्यम कर, पल के उठ, हर नाम त्यागो. Otherwise, all these instructions wouldn't be there. But understand that by not doing something, you're also doing something. By doing something, you're doing something. By choosing to do or not to do, you are making those choices, and the consequences of those choices you will bear. That is the hukam. No matter how kind, how benevolent, and yet the protection of Guru is there even through that. So let's move forward with Hukmi Hovan Ji.
Finish one line, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's good.
Hukmi Hovanji, Hukam Mile Vadiyai. Now, Hukam Mile Vadiyai. Yes, the superficial meaning is Ode Hukam Nat Sanu Vadiyai, right? We get praise, we get glory, we get, all this vava from the world. Recognition through his Hukam. But really what it is that when you follow those guidelines, when you follow the message, when you follow what the Guru is asking you to do, then you get Vadiyai. Because in another place Guruji says, कि जिस नीच नु कोई नहीं जानता, जदों वो नाम जपता है तो उन्हें चारों जुग पहचानते हैं. Everybody applauds him or her. Why? Because through the japping of the Naam, the transformation has happened and a lot of good is coming out of that person. And that person has now gotten the ability to touch people by his or her energy and change lives. And Hukam is not random, is what I'm saying. I read some translations a while ago, not today because I forgot that we were going to do this, but in the past I've read these translations and all that this says, Ode hukam nal vadiyai milti hai, Ode hukam nal ana, Ode hukam nal jana. All of this is true, Ode hukam nal ana jana hai. But Ode hukam nal kis tarah vadiyai milti hai? He's not going to decide, okay, you're going to get vadiyai, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. Now, Ode hukam de vich age jaake dasya hai Baba ji ne ki jis tarah si aanya, koi uchche hai, koi neem hai. But that is because we have earned that. Ode laws ne, ode कोई constitution है, ode कुछ क्या है कि अगर तुसी ऐ करोगे, if you violate this you will be punished, and if you go on this path and you do this you shall be rewarded. तानु इस जुग दे विच वड्याई मिलेगी और अगले जुग दे विच बाबा जी दे अबोर्ड दे विच स्थान मिलेगा. This is what the promise is of the Guru. If you japo Naam and if you bring that goodness, what is Naam? Naam is with a gun. When you bring Naam into your life, you bring his gun into your life. So once we understand that, this whole concept of Hukam becomes clear, that it is what we are doing that is according to the laws or not according to them, is creating our destiny, is creating the Vadiyai for us, is creating the pitfalls for us, and that's why suffering and that is why pain. It's not just random.
There seem to be two levels, two forces here also. There's the kind of the somewhat mechanistic effect of your actions and the results, and there is God's will, which seems to be a separate force also. Otherwise, you don't need God, you just need His law, so everything is just going to happen.
But there is grace.
That's what I'm saying. So
yes.
There is the, so His will is a force in addition to the force of your own action. It seems to be two.
But are they two different or are they the same?
Right. Your action
they are part of His overall plan, but
it is part of your
isn't just
plan.
limited to our own action, is what I'm saying.
It is
There
limited.
His will that goes beyond just the result of our own action.
But that is yes, absolutely right, because that is a very important concept in Sikhi about nadar, about grace, about bakshish, right? Nadar, nadar upatti je kare, sultana kai kamaita, right? I mean, that's not in our control, but that nadar also, see the way I see it or I feel it, that odi nadar, odi bakshish te hamesha ho hi rahi hai.
How does he selectively
designate
another child?
I just think that nadar bakshish is always there. I mean, the way I look at it.
So everybody gets another in a way, another subject, Rabdi subject, another Rabbi, you're saying. Now we ask it something another.
But we have to be able to want it and receive it. Agar mera pandai putta hai, main kis tarah receive
karangi? So want it, so you need to want, as you say, express your desire.
Be qualified.
See, that's the big one.
That's
the very big one.
Worthy of it.
Earn it, receive it.
But that means you have to go back in the hukam and do
the karma, your deeds and your thoughts.
I think that is a very big hukam.
Yes.
The karmic hukam is a very big one. The nadar is pervading on top of all of that. That is the umbrella that is keeping us in the shade, that is keeping us cool, that is keeping us, but if we choose to walk under it, that's where salan comes in.
Yes.
Right?
All interrelated.
It's all interrelated. I mean, हो रही है बख्शिश, पर मेरा पांडा ही पुट्ठा है. पानी दे तले तुसी रख तो गड़वी, but you put it upside down, how is it going to get filled up?
पर वही कल कुछ ने बोली था वो सिद्धा करना है किरता करना है
ओ गुरु की कृपा है
again that part of हुक्म के अंदर है deeds good deeds नाम लेके will help to change the direction holy
yeah.
okay but then हर एक चीज की प्रॉब्लम हो ये भी कहने की नाम है इसको नाम मिल गया all problems will be resolved including धर्मराज ने भी कमांड है कि भाई जिस बंदे ने नाम लेके आया he is done don't worry about him you don't have any capacity to touch him वो भी हुक्म ही है ना हमारे का the way I'm you understand
पूरे ट्यून हो गए ना
नाम देना सारे काम हो गए
part of Vibro itself
yeah.
so you get to a different plane that
he takes you
gets
different
above
Dharamraj the kagad phade then there is no account
okay
you get beyond the law of karma
yes.
law of karma is not absolute
see the current only are stepping stone कर्म कर करके फिर नाम तक पहुंच जाओ जब दवाई नाम दे दे
खंड है ना जिससे कर्म चलता है
जी
उसको पे और खंड नहीं चलता
that's right जिससे नाम मिल गया उसके बाद आगे कोई नहीं
Right, absolutely right. But the thing is, you have to get out of this, and how you get out of this is through dharam. What is dharam? Go beyond it. Beyond it. How do you go beyond it? Through dharam. What is dharam? Righteous action. Right? Hanji?
It's more than that. It's Nam Simran.
All of that. Nam Simran is part of the righteous action, right? Right actions are that you are going to. To me, it all comes down to, and maybe it's just a very simplistic approach. It all comes down to Vaheguru de Gunne. Guru di guidance hai. Satguru di in Sri Guru Granth Sahib, 10 gurus, sages, bhagats, right? It's about me. And बख्शिश तो मेरे इतनी हुई है कि मैं गुरसिख करते हुए जन्म लिया जितने Sri Guru Granth Sahib है और दिन राति I'm taking the walk and trying to understand what the Guru wants. I mean there is constant conflict that I'm a part of. My choice is, am I going to butt heads with it, or I'm going to say, you know what, this is taking too much of a toll on my being one with that vibration which is keeping me at peace. It has happened in my life recently. I was at a crossroads where I had to either butt heads with someone who had wronged me and take the person to court and set the wrong right, or to say, you know what, I don't understand it, I don't get it, but all that I know is that the next 2 years of conflict is not what I choose for my life. I walk away.
Just a little side subject. In all religion, in fact in some religion, they always say 3 things. Either you are God yourself, or God is within you, or you are part of God. I mean, that's the general, people normally say, either they say, don't worry, Rab to andar hai, you are part of Rab. So if that is acceptable, what you call prophecy or thinking, then why we all, if we are all God or God apart, why we all behave different, why we all act different? It's a puzzle for me. Either that perception or that concept is wrong, or I don't understand.
We kind of addressed that earlier. There is the divinity within us, but there is the Maya
personality
and all the other things in between. So it's until you are getting in tune with that, then you're just saying the words.
नहीं पर अगर माया है तो माया में रब ने बनाई है. Since you are part of God, तो you are also part of the creation of Maya too. You are accomplice to it, so to speak.
Because, but the fact of I am God or I am part of God is meaningless unless I can transcend all that and really be in tune with Him. Most of us are not at that stage where that is just philosophy. It's only a phrase, it's philosophy. It's not real until we actually.
They don't accept it.
Until we actualize
superficially accept it, but
yeah.
superficially they just say.
The same thing like you said कि महाराज इस भगवान कहते बंदे अंदर जा इस तरह है तो अंदर जाना जब तक जाके मिला नहीं तब तक you cannot say कि कुछ देखे आ देखा है. So we are blind. पर है कि फिर ये भी कहते कि उसकी रजा है तो वो तेन दिखा देगा अपने आप में तेरे हाथ नहीं है कि तू देख सके उसकी मर्जी है बख्शिश है वो शायद कृपा करके दिखा then जिस तरह के अंदर कि भाई अगर ते पहुंच गए then there is no issue there. So the journey is to get to the point.
Actually, that's your next line. Ik na hukmi bakshish, jitni bakshish ho jaye. Yeah. See, but another bakshish, odi chahiye to.
Right. Okay. Hukmi.
Uttam neat.
Hukmi hovan aakar ko na kya jaye. Hukam likh dukh sukh paaye. Again, see here it is so clear कि वो लिखा जा रहा है. That destiny is being written according to the laws that I've have been created. The laws have been created. And how you are acting, it is all being written. Right? Or do you interpret it differently? Hukam.
Read that.
Okay, where is it?
लिख
दुख सुख पाए.
लिखा जा रहा है कि लिखा जा चुका है?
Both. जो लिखा गया है, उधर हिसाब नाल you have what you have today and you are what you are today.
Yeah.
What you are doing today is being written, and based on that, you shall either be recipient of dukh, sukh, or completely be in bliss.
So database is being updated all the time.
All the time, based on your thoughts, sanskars, deeds, actions, choices, everything. And that's why every single...
Chitragupta, they are constantly writing.
Hukam likh dukh sukh paye, ikna hukmi bakhshish, ik hukmi sada huwaye. Now, and okay, ikna hukmi bakhshish. Now again, this is not random. Ek nu hukm na bakhshish karti duje nu. Based on how you have followed that hukam ya tadete, bakshish da jara pandar hai, you will become ready to receive it. I think bakshish is always there. Because kera parent hai jara apne bacche utte kind nazar nahi rakhta, pyar nahi denda, maaf nahi karta. I see God as that parent who's forever kind, forever benevolent, forever forgiving, forever loving. But if I am going to violate those commands and go where I'm not supposed to go and do things that are going to hurt me, I mean, I have to bear the consequences of my actions. And that is where ikna hukmi bakshish, iknu hukam di palna karan de naal, by obeying the hukam, wana di bakshish blossoms and ik badde khapte rehne. इतना हुक्मी बख्शिश हुक्मी सदा वाली हुक्मे अंदर सबको बाहर हुक्म ना कोई.
No exceptions.
Yes.
Ovi, then it goes back.
There are absolutely no exceptions. No matter how kind my dad is. But you know what? I have to also listen to my dad's guidance. And that is where my guru is. You know Professor Dr. Neki, in his book Ardas, has anyone read it? Beautifully he says that Vaheguru has given me birth and death. My Guru, my Bani, my Satguru, is teaching me how to get out of life and death. Right? And so I have to listen to my Guru. Vaheguru has given me Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, because I come with these. This is the Maya that he has implanted. That energy, that force, that mauji banda, that choji mera gobind, choji mera pyarya, and khel jo ne khidai hai. This play that energy has created, part of it is all these 5 opponents or vices or rascals or challenges or whatever. The Guru is going to make me defeat them. Vaheguruji has put me in a parivar, in a family. That's Vaheguru's hukam, that I'm born in this family. And Guru is going to teach me how to make the whole world my family, or recognize Akal Purakh as my family, as my Mata and Pita. So it's very interesting that the laws, according to the force and the way this structure is, this whole infrastructure is built, there are certain things that those laws have created. And then in his absolute benevolence and kindness, Vaheguru has sent us Guru.
So it's just like that Guru has created the city, Vaheguru has created the city and the guide, and Guru is your guide to show you the city.
Completely the guide. And if I'm going to listen, then I'm going to be able to get into that reality. And follow. Listen, understand, follow. I have to follow it. And I can chant it all the time. And eventually it'll rub off. But guna ka hove vasla. Vari Sidhu Granth Sahib said, embrace goodness. And if you see a place or an individual where goodness doesn't exist, mast kar rahi hai. Mene asant mast kar rahi. Don't engage, don't get upset. You know, Papa, your dad, I never forget this. It took me, I don't know how many decades to understand what he said. I was complaining to him one day about someone, and I said, this person is so angry. all the time. This individual is so angry. So he looks at me and he said, so? So I'm like, so? I mean, the person is so angry all the time. And he goes, that should affect that individual, not you. I'm like, but it does affect me. He goes, why? Why should somebody else's anger, I mean, have that kind of power on you? And why are you so worried about it? And I didn't know what to say to him because I didn't even get what he was saying. And many, many years later, I said, wow. I mean, just in that small interchange, there was this entire philosophy of mast karne.
The dirty clothes and put them in a fund on your own head.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't take somebody else's burden. Don't give them power. Don't take that on. So, and then I came across this line कि अगर कोई संत मिलता है कुछ कहिए कुछ सुनिए. I don't remember. I don't have जगमोहन beauty. हाँ जी हाँ कुछ कहिए सुनिए. मिले असंत मस्त कर रही है. And here I am. Oh, the person is so angry. So I always remember Papa when I am at the verge of getting bent out of shape. It's like so. And by Veer Singh ji said it.
मिले संत
मस्त कर रही है.
Don't care, मस्त कर रही है.
Yeah, don't bother. Let them be. Don't engage too much. Don't worry. You know, there is a big thing about compassion that I have tried to practice. Like, oh my gosh, compassion. I have to be kind. Right? And then this modern day, I would say teacher, Sri Ravi Shankar, I came across a line by him when I needed it very much. Someone sent it to me. He goes, don't get drowned in that compassion. Show compassion towards yourself also. Itna compassion na dikhao that you keep getting hurt all the time. Be compassionate towards yourself. Have the discernment to move away, to disengage. Know when to fight, know when to disengage, know when to go out and help. I mean, all this the Guru is teaching us. Or assi hun pata ki karne hum, because we have this amazing side to us, which is that of a warrior saint. We want to be warriors all the time. We forget about being saints, right? But the two go together. We always say, you know, oh, we cannot take this on. Excuse me, I mean, what kind of a thing is falling? I mean, just have the right perspective. Don't be ready to whip out the sword always. Babaji has said, the last resort is the sword. The last resort. When all other peaceful means fail. Have you tried the peaceful means fail? Have you tried the dialogue? Have you tried the negotiation? Have you tried the compassion? All those are hukams. Be kind. Be loving. Be forgiving. But what is it? The hame is there. And the hukam also is that where there is hame, there is no God.
That's what that next line is.
Yes.
That's the real answer, right?
There you go, Vichi. So,
that's the next line.
Nanak hukmi je, which is once you understand it and you take your ego, you put it out there somewhere else and you look at it and then you realize, you know, it's not a big deal. But the hame is so strong that it keeps us, you know, fighting, keeps us engaged, keeps us on the attack, keeps us wanting to hit back. And then there is no God and there is no goodness, because God is goodness, the Creator is goodness. It is all good. Sab avgun. Main, mere, sab avgun and sab gun tere. So, I think it's very important for us to understand, number one, that hukam is not random. I'm going to wrap up in 2 minutes. Hukam is not random. Hukam is law, hukam is command, hukam is infrastructure, hukam is at so many levels. At the level of the universe that I don't control, at the level where it is Guru's guidance that I do control, that I do have choices to make. And then based on how, certain hukams I have no, okay, so tsunami hai, right? On the surface, avada hukam hai, right? But if you really delve deep into it, how much we have abused the environment. So what all we've done.
So hukam basic.
Some of them happen, but a lot of it is happening because of what we are doing.
So most of what happens is not our doing. Most of it is part of this.
It is part of the hukum, but somehow I really think we have abused our environment a bit too much.
Absolutely.
So basically hukum is like it's a software or algorithm which is built in.
Well, that's the part I disagree slightly with her.
Embedded algorithm.
She's saying it's all part of laws. I think it's beyond that. I think there is a place beyond that for him. We don't understand.
Of course we don't understand. Of course we don't understand. Hukam na keha jaye.
Take the example, you talk about parents and children, right? Everything the parent does, even if it seems bad, is for the child's good.
Right.
He gets punished sometimes with a good reason for it.
Right.
But there are lots of other things that are not related to the child. The parent may insist you can't go out today because the parents have something else to do. They may have a bigger purpose. So God may have other purposes that go beyond the law that we can think about.
Sure, because we are interpreting it based.
There is room for saying it's His will.
Always, Vichi, always, because hukum na keha jaye. What I am or all of us are trying to interpret it is a minuscule thing, the tip of the iceberg that we're trying to make sense of, right? But beyond that, there is so much that we don't understand. But one thing I do understand, that a lot of natural disasters that are happening because of the way we have treated them. A lot of
I
them.
was just saying, when we say His hukum is just sum of all His laws.
No.
It's beyond that.
Because we can't say what it is.
Beyond laws also.
It's beyond understanding.
Yeah.
You know why, Vichi? Why that is a given? Because hukum is hukmi, right? Hukam is the hukmi, and hukmi is the energy, the force itself that is fathomless, that is infinite, that is beyond understanding. But thank you for pointing it out, because we get so caught up in trying to understand it that our understanding is so limited that we want to confine it there. No, not at all. We just are trying to understand a minuscule amount of what it is as it pertains
but
to us.
destroy kar rahe hain earth nu, ye bhi Rabb da hukum hai. I mean, we're destroying this earth, ye Rabb da hukum hai.
I don't believe so. I don't think so.
But why are our actions, are our actions are Rabb da
Our
hukum?
actions are there because we are so misguided.
No, but God created us, okay. And He created me, He programmed us, literally, and we are really following that predetermined program.
No.
And we are destroying the
There
earth.
is no predetermined program. Your DNA, what you are, is because of all the sanskars, all the actions that have gone on before.
So this is what happened
But these are two different
What
steps.
happened for the first chief?
I don't know that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
And Gurbani tells you that because the Hindus believe it's perfect cycle of action and reaction.
That's right.
Gurbani specifically says what before God created.
There was nothing.
There was no karma.
There was no karma.
So he's saying everything is not determined by karma.
No, Vichi.
Otherwise they would have
the only person, the only entity that is beyond karma is a kalpura.
But specifically, I think Gurbani is saying that it's not limited to karma. There is stuff beyond that because there was no karma initially. So God had to create everything even without karma.
Okay, yes.
Everything is not determined
That
just
is
by
the
your
21st Ashtapadi
initially there were no
Jari. That's what it is.
But yes, but once the play was created, once the rules are created, then everything has to be bound by those rules. Today I am operating within those rules. Yes, there was Tandukara, yes, there was only light, yes, there was only a Kalpuruk, O Kalla Baitha, Apni Mauj de vich, Sab de vich kar raha siga, right? And then he threw this voice out that created the rivers, the mountains, whatever, the G, planted that light in us and planted Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ankar. And the play started, right?
What I'm theorizing is that everything is not just a list of just determined by our past actions. That our past actions, that the law of justice works perfectly, but it's not limited to our past actions.
I think
there's a broader will of God's, which is in which it fits in.
And there is saying
our
the
past
same
actions
thing.
have a big impact on where we end up, but beyond that there's a will of God. There are other reasons that are beyond our past actions alone.
Of course.
Sukhmani Sahib ne likha in there, what you saying is 21st Ashwadi hai. जब ये आकार कबू न दिशेगा पाप तुम तब कहते होता.
So it's not all list of
No, but that doesn't pertain to us. We were not there.
No, but that pertains
No,
to
that
the
pertains to the
that pertains to the basic
No,
theory that it's all
wait.
determined just
That
by
pertains to the overall reality, the infiniteness of that.
I think he's addressing the specific issue that says everything is explained just by karma. He says
Nahi, which
you
in
can't do that because even before karma, God's will was there. So his will.
God's will
His
was
is
there,
beyond
but God's will was not manifested at that time. It was ek. it was owned, but it wasn't card. It wasn't manifested.
I think what he's saying is that
I don't disagree.
Don't limit everything to the law of karma.
It's not. No. I'm not limiting God's reality or God's hukum to the law of karma, because the hukum is so beyond everything.
That's all.
Absolutely. However, I am absolutely limiting what I do and what I reap and what I sow to my action. Absolutely.
And to God's will.
Everything is under God's will. The laws are under God's will.
But even for the same past actions, God has enough opportunity to create lots of different future results that are still consistent with rewarding and punishing.
That is if I listen to the Guru and the bakshish happens, and
even without that, a given set of actions means that whatever you get has to be fair to you, has to determine a certain amount of goodness and badness in your life.
I think it is fair.
Within that, God can create many different kinds of results.
Oh, फिर उदी मौज है ना?
Oh,
तो फिर उदी मौज है ना?
Yeah, so it's
of
more
course.
than just that. Every single thing is not deterministic, is what I'm saying. God has His will that goes beyond.
It does.
Yeah.
He has system that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So
So that,
we have created our understanding of this law of karma, but that is a limited part of reality.
That is a very important part for me to understand in terms of how I live my life.
Absolutely.
I mean, the reason I'm focusing on it is that very often we think that it's random and whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and we don't take responsibility for our actions, and that's why the pitholes and the pitfalls and whatever.
All I was saying is there is a whole region between random and fully deterministic. It's not random, but it's not deterministic either. Everything is not completely determined.
We don't even understand it.
They both exist at the same time.
We don't understand it.
Right, exactly. That's
yeah, of course. We don't understand it. We don't.
If you say it's totally deterministic, it's when you understand.
It is deterministic in terms of the way I live and the way I want to live.
I agree with that.
You know, this is how I want to live. This part of it pertains to me in my daily life, and I need to follow it.
Okay? See, what you're saying is that you can't say God made me do it.
No, you can't.
That's
no.
what I'm saying.
No.
Like Christians say, devil made me do it. You can say God.
But beyond this, oda hukam kis tarah pervade kar raha hai, I don't know. I absolutely don't understand. I cannot say one way or another. But I can say that the hukam is that what I sow, I shall reap. I know that.
But
that
then,
I get.
But then it also says, hukme andar sabko bahar hukum na koi. So your actions and deeds also part of the hukam. They are.
No.
This I think says you can't be independent of it.
Yeah.
It's saying you're part of it. Don't think you're not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, we are part of it.
He's saying nothing is outside of it.
There's nothing outside.
I have no disagreement with what Vichaar is saying. I mean, of course, that's a given. The hukam is so vast and so beyond my understanding. And Bani has told us that before this play happened, ਉਦੋਂ ਕੀ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹ self illumined ਸੀ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਵਿੱਚ exist ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ but then this world was created and certain laws were crystallized, were formed, and I am addressing those laws right now for our everyday living, and so that we don't make this mistake of saying, oh, you know what, this is my fate and da 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 or whatever. But within that, you know, there is things I'm not going to be able to control because of what I have done or what has happened in the past karmic side.
But very interesting, I think one. Remember you mentioned the DNA ke rose the beej lagao. When you plant the seed of the rose, you know that certainly the rose will come. Maybe when God created us, there is this, certainly He started with the seed of the DNA. So it's all flourishing based on the DNA, original DNA. It's all happening because the DNA is there. We are evolving. We are, talking about Gurbani. This all evolution through the basic DNA which He planted. It's a
of
DNA.
Course,
it's
a DNA
DNA.
The DNA
evolution.
is that of His light.
No, it's creation. It's DNA of His creation. We are going hukum karna.
Yeah.
So it's basically what Inder is saying, that DNA is planted. Our hukum is planted, and all is happening because the original DNA is supposed to do that. It's meant to be like that.
It's like the same thing you just said, actually. Jessi.
I don't agree with that.
Jessi, you said.
I don't think that it is so hard, it's so determined that, no matter what it's
That's
going to
what I
happen.
was saying.
Anna?
That's what I was saying. Because some of what you were describing sounded like that.
No, not at all. Not at
The
all.
way you said it kind of implied.
Okay, sorry.
That's all I was saying.
No, wait. Let me clarify. Say that again, Vichaar.
some of the way you describe that everything is based on some laws that have been set, the laws of karma, and nothing else, and I was saying
No. How can that be? Because that's a part of his hukam. I mean, the hukam is fathomless, infinite. We don't understand it. है ना? Baba ji has said, hukam na keha jai. मैं तो समझ ही नहीं आता क्या ही नहीं सकता.
In our own life, there are kind of two things we have to do. One is we have to recognize that our results, what we do, will have consequences, and we are accountable.
And we also have to understand.
A lot of what happens will be based on our own previous actions.
Right.
But not everything is determined exactly by our previous actions, because God's will is infinite. There are lots of factors there. We don't understand it, so we can say it's His hukam. Maybe it's a result of my own previous actions, whatever it is. I don't understand why it's His hukam.
Yeah.
Let me be good in the future.
Yes. And let me accept that. Let me not fight it. But I do know this, that this is what my Guru has said. I have the good fortune of having been born in this Sikh dharma or whatever Christian access have, their wonderful Bible that they have access to, whatever they want to follow, that I have this guidance and I am going to follow it, and that's all I know. But beyond that, how what happened when this wasn't there, I don't know. And how it all prevails, I don't know. But this much I know. This much I know because it's clearly stated. These laws I understand because my Guru has laid those out. He has said that you have to be good. He has said that you have to be forgiving. He has said that you cannot get too caught up in your kam, krodh, lobh, moh, ahankar. He has said that where there is ego, God's energy will not be. All this I understand because He has told me that in no uncertain terms.
That's true. Yeah.
Those are God's hukams too. Beyond that, I don't get it. I don't know. What was before, how it will prevail, I don't know.
Hukam na kiya jai.
Hukam na kiya jai, that's the first line. And not only that, hukam and hukmi, right? God and God's hukam and God's hond and essence is beyond language. It's also alaukic cheez hai. It's a spiritual thing. It can be experienced.
That's why we have all these debates, because we can't put them in words.
We can't put them in
words.
Right.
The truth is deeper.
Absolutely, exactly. Nobody
right? So we can. And our buddhi is so tuch and so error prone and so limited, that everything that I'm saying is my interpretation. And it can be wrong, but what cannot be wrong is what the Guru has said. And that's all I'm saying, that there are some very clear guidelines that the Guru is saying for our everyday life. We understand hukam is apart, we don't understand it. Guru himself has said that I don't understand it, but there are things we can put our arms around and understand.